Okay, there we are. And I am 5 minutes is not too bad. Mhm. I have some I haven't been checking my email for weeks now. And my spam folder is like 236 items in it. So I'm actually leaving the window open just so it'll clear out the spam. But I don't know when it's going to do it. I don't. I think I have it set up for something like 3 days or something, or maybe even 7 days. But I think it's more like 3 days. I think after 3 days it's supposed to delete them. I didn't check them until today though, so it's actually accumulated. So hopefully it'll sometime soon. And Kick is still not showing up on Social Stream Ninja's dashboard. Now it'll still send messages to Kick, but it won't show up on the dashboard, which is weird. Anyways, we're getting right back into chapter 15. Well, chapter 15 and 16 are kind of together. They're kind of part of the same story arc. But it's still working out. Well, I did say that um, we're probably going to add another way for the count to escape. It's purely flavor itself because it amounts to the same thing. Somehow it's not even multiple paths. Okay, so I decided that the password would be related to something Violet had written in her school days on a paper. Um, but there's not really still a lot of uh, decision going on here. Just the fact that you can go to Fairy College first before you have to go back to Princess Prep. Or, yeah, before you have to go back to Princess Prep. Uh, or just go to Princess Prep first. But I still want to make password more of a puzzle. Not really sure what to do about it, though. You're okay with the counts escaping before being a pure flavor, multiple ways, same outcome. The idea of the lobby decision, beat two. Guess from. Actually, I could do the guess from three options probably. Um, the idea, okay, so the idea is in the full like version, the full game, uh, just the text adventure even, but where Guess from three options. I just read the note and guess from three options. What was I gonna say here? That doesn't beat two. Here, let me pull up the thing. You know the thing. It's actually beat three. In fact, I could actually put the extra decision point here about whether or not to go to Princess Prep or Fairy God College in the middle here. Which originally the story beats were going to be the in between the story beats is where the interaction was going to happen to get from one to the next. And the way it worked out, though, almost everyone is within a story beat. There's a couple that's in between, but most of them are within one. But this is one that can go in between here. So the little light decision about going to Princess Prep first or Fairy God College first, where you still have to go to Princess Prep, that little choice bit can actually be in between here. So that can actually be in there. It can actually be linked to Title Two, basically. So, but then uh, 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 it mostly adds a tiny bit of backtracking. It doesn't feel like much of a puzzle. You want the password to feel like more of a puzzle. The real decision making needs to happen around figuring out the password, not just choosing which location to visit first. Um, it's, if I sign it. Um, okay. It feels like she's sawing it. Okay. Option two, two small steps. After the note, once Kieran the password the file John brought back, something on the Princess Prep notice board. Well, you can't get into Princess Prep, so that's not. I don't remember what the headmistress said. Uh, let's see. The level is fine. Well, it's fine, but keep in mind she can't really go into this. In fact, it's been reboarded up and should be pretty um, impregnable. Pregnable? Pregnable. Impregnable. Okay. By now. So any hints or clues has to be on what John found, or be what she finds at the site. I mean, yeah, we'll just do it like that. Go inside and find new clues. All password-related information must come from what John already found earlier. You can observe it outside of the site. The note on the door. Notice. Now I see what we're getting at. So Tim probably is what John found, and then, like you said, comes to the password itself. I can give 3 basic choices. Pardon me. Oh, excuse me. Hope nobody saw that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, yeah, you can get so comfortable that you can start acting gross in front of the camera. So, especially since there's nobody in here but me and the camera. I need to not forget about that so I don't do anything untoward, like dancing around in my underwear, which you'll never see me do, but I'm just saying. Okay. Mm -mm -mm. Um, uh, 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 mm, So 4 and 5 is 9, plus 3 is 12, plus 13, 14. That probably would work. The reason I'm sitting here is I am thinking about whether I want to add another element. I was thinking like maybe part of the note is like scribbled out or something or torn or something. I don't know why it would be torn or scribbled out though. So that's what the problem is. That's why I'm sitting here thinking about it. Um, there could be a way where we have to find part message that had fallen off or something that nature, but I can't come up with anything decent about how the note would, would be damaged at all. It was presumably just put up. And actually, that would probably be just enough for my deal. It's not there's not much agency there, but there is a little bit, and then I can formulate it into a proper puzzle later. Because the note was just put up recently, so it doesn't feel natural for it to be torn or incomplete. My die pattern, which I use quite a bit now. Will account for wrong answers. It's set up like A, B, C, B, C. Option B is the correct option. You pick A. The only ones left are B and C. You pick C, then it's A and B. If you further pick either A or C, the only one left is B, and that handles that. Around there. Hey John, I am still working on chapter 15. We're getting this locked down. We're getting chapter 15's decision points locked down. Um, I should be able to actually start. I should be able to get chapter 15 done today. Honestly, uh, chapter 16 not yet because I haven't gotten that deep into it yet. I have an idea where some decision points will go in chapter 16, but yeah. So we're just kind of still at the beginning here. I'm still just figuring out a few things, and in fact, in a few minutes, I might even be able to start working on the actual pages for chapter 15. It'd be great if I could get 15. It'd be great if I could get both of them done today, and then that way I'd have the rest of the week for 17 and 18. I don't know how likely that is, but that would be a good help to me because that means I can still be done sort of at the time that I said, even though technically today is the last day of March. The first few days of April, like April Fool's tomorrow, which I don't go in with April Fool's crap, honestly. So I don't participate in that at all. So uh, but so yeah. So if I'm lucky, I'll get yeah. Yeah, if I'm lucky, I'll be able to finish this week, and that way I can let's see, let me see how this works out. It's like technically 5 weeks in April. It's not actually 5 weeks, but it's like a half a week, right? Here, let's go to April real quick. Okay, so this is through Saturday, right? Okay, and I guess May 1st is on a Friday, so May 1st and 2nd is that last week, but you can technically count this as 4 weeks. And last time I've actually heard an April Fool's Day. Yeah, really me either, but yeah. But whenever I get on, I just I don't really like participate. In other words, if I say something, I'm just gonna say it. I'm not gonna put anything up that says that I'm totally quitting. Although I might have to quit here soon because there's some things that we have to do here kind of soon, which is why I'm also gonna try to take that month off if I get this done this week. But what was I looking at? Okay, so yeah, so like I said, if we go into April, okay, so I can count that 4 weeks, and I can do that all off. I have a installer coming in on the 10th. Um, we're switching to Starlink from Spectrum because Spectrum, um, for one thing, it's a little bit cheaper, um, sort of. it's about the same price, but they keep on Spectrum keeps on raising prices for the same thing, and I can't downgrade to get like a cheaper price. And the way Starlink seems to work, the way I've been looking at a few things is that they tend to, whenever they upgrade their stuff, they tend to like decrease the price. So it's actually almost opposite of other companies. No, no, no. Spectrum Internet. Um, yeah, we haven't done cable TV in like years. So, but Spectrum Internet, switching internet service providers from that to Starlink. And we have a good clear view of the sky, so we can put it up here. The only issue we have really is hurricane force winds, which we get occasionally. And so if there's so we're gonna get an installer to come in and actually find the right place and stuff. But like I said, do have a clear view of the sky, so that should be fine. And then we'll see what they say. I actually have to clean up the house a little bit too. This place is a mess, and honestly, I'm gonna need that first full week in April, which is starts. We'll say starts on Sunday the 5th, and yeah. So that whole week, the 5th through the 11th, I'll be completely taken off, no streams at all. And then the remaining 3 weeks, I'll be doing like kind of like a working break, so to speak, where when I get time, I will come in and I will do impromptu streams. They won't be scheduled. They won't be it won't be every weekday. They won't be at a certain time or a certain length. They'll just be whenever I can get them in. Whenever I can't do particular cleaning or yard work or something, like say at night, or even if it's like super hot in the day and I can't go outside, or whatever, or dad's laying down and it's super hot outside, um, where I have to stay inside, then I'll like do like an impromptu stream for an hour or so. So wasting money on cable, whatever makes them happy, I suppose. Uh, Barely have fiber thanks to me. Yeah, um, we actually had fiber. It's funny. We had fiber in we'll say 2013. Um, so the way this worked is Verizon was our internet service provider for a long time. They were just a regular phone company. It wasn't like mobile and stuff back then. In fact, we used um, what do they call that? DSL, DSL, right? We had DSL with Verizon, and then eventually later, uh, I'm not sure if they actually eventually had fiber later, or if that was when Frontier basically bought Verizon somehow, and then somehow they did all their fiber through Frontier, and then Verizon got spun off somehow, and like the mobile and stuff. So Verizon, I don't know if they sold it or whatever, but so we actually had, believe it or not, we had fiber internet back in like 2013. It was pretty fast for back then. I don't exactly remember what it was. I just remember it was quite a bit faster than than DSL was. Anyways, let me get back to my thing here. Sorry, I always tend to go off. I got ADD. I got whatever. You could almost say ADHD, although I'm not that hyperactive. So like attention deficit disorder. ADHD is what adult. No, what is ADHD versus ADD? That's an interesting question. Um, ADD versus ADHD. I think the H is supposed to be ADD is an outdated term no longer used in medical diagnosis, now classified as ADHD. Refers to individuals' attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Is the current official term, formerly known as ADD. Okay, my bad. Anyways, yeah, I know that. I know the hyperactivity. I used to just thirsty ADD. Yeah, exactly. Uh, I was diagnosed with hyperactivity when I was a kid, uh, and it used to be real bad with like colors, like colored like cereals, tricks, Fruit Loops, that sort of thing. The colors in there just made me, bounce all over the place and stuff. It was really bad. At one point, um, somehow, I'm not sure. It must have been the doctor. The doctor put me on Ritalin, and I guess I did some weird crazy thing, and my dad automatically took me off of it and says he's not doing that again. So, but yeah, and even all through like high school. Um, okay, so this is a funny thing. In high school, I had two friends that we all had our. At the end of the day, we had history class, and we all had our thing that we liked eating. I like eating Skittles. I get a popping in some Skittles, and this one girl, she was eating like a sugar cookie, and I forget the guy. Her name was Elizabeth, I think, and this other guy, a friend of mine, his name was Eric, and we all had our thing that made us like super hyperactive, and so so I'd be eating Skittles, and she'd be eating a sugar cookie, and he'd be like drinking a pop or something. Yeah, I was only on Ritalin for really really short time when I was a real little kid, so I don't even remember any of it really. But anyways, so we'd sit there and just start giggling, and so sometimes we'd have these projects where we put our desks together and stuff, and so we'd just be saying stupid jokes and just like cracking up and uh, almost oftentimes even disrupting the class because whenever I was on Skittles, man, I was just a laugh riot, ridiculous, dumb, dumb stuff, dumb jokes and stuff. But yeah, so we all had this thing. So I definitely still had this hyperactive thing. So whenever I had sugars and colors, yeah, yeah. I guess you could call it a high, right? I don't do any drugs. I've never did any drugs. I never smoked a cigarette. Nothing. I barely ever drank or barely ever drink. Once in a way, blue moon, I'll have something. I don't like the taste of beer. I don't drink liquor on the regular basis. I don't even really do it for a special occasion. I just once in a blue moon I'll have something, you know, like a Mike's Hard Lemonade or some such, or whatever. Um, but yeah, Sugar Rush. Yeah, and it was crazy, but it was great. I don't do that anymore. I mean, even when I eat candy and stuff, which I haven't for a couple of years now because of we've been on like keto and carnivore and whatever. Even when we have carbs, I don't do it that much because my teeth are so bad that I don't want to eat any sweets or whatever because it messes me up, and I don't have enough money to go to a dentist and like get all my cavities fixed and everything. So I stay away from sugar now, but I outgrew the kind of this hyperactive deal. So you could say that I still have attention deficit though because like I'll go off on tangents and I'll forget what I was working on. Sometimes I'll forget what I'm saying mid sentence. Sometimes it just I'm just like that. Shiny object syndrome is like squirrel. That sort of thing. I've never heard of that. Sompapdi? What? Hmm. Anyways, I should get back to the thing here because I have now I have less than an hour, and I'm gonna try to see if I can get 15 going here. So I should stop talking about candy and stuff. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't really need anything like that, even if it's totally benign. Yeah, Asian dessert, huh? Okay. Maybe I'll look it up though. I'll look it up one time because I do occasionally do sweets. When we occasionally do anything with carbs in it, we're still not doing carbs very much now. We got off of carnivore because my dad didn't really care to do it. He was getting sick of meat, eating only meat, and I'm like, okay, well, if you can't do it, I can't really do it either because he's paying for the food and stuff. So and I have to make the food, and so now I'm making the food for us, and so I pretty much have to make what he wants. I mean, I can still choose what we want to eat, but because we like a lot of the same things, but I can't go on a strictly carnivore anymore. So we're kind of back to keto. Um, we're kind of still doing kind of a lazy keto. Cotton candy compression in small cube. That sounds excellent. That sounds crazy. But okay, let's get back to the game here. Let's see. Do you want the wrong answers? Fail silently. Not a problem there. Okay, I guess go ahead and hit the enter there. Decision. Care members. Um, don't worry about the exact wording. I'll figure that out when I start implementing it. And apparently I have, what do I have a message on? Oh, this game's from scratch. Games from scratch. Grease of Babylon 9. Awesome open source 3D JavaScript TypeScript game engine. Got probably its biggest release with version 9. If you're looking to create 3D games for the browser, this engine is a must see. Oh, that's interesting. I'll look at that later. Okay. So to confirm, we settle on lobby decision. Beat three. You have a three option decision based on what John found in Violet's file. Okay. So is there anything you can think of where um, you have to figure out the password in two parts? I can't right now, but maybe you have some ideas and it will spark something. Uh, Blocked terms. Was that Twitch? Yeah, dang stream boo. Lucky for me though that Kick, I'm no not really getting any more of those those ones that say come to us or whatever. Dang, why isn't the spam folder emptying out? And how come it's not showing me in my spam folder? Inbox. Well, how come it's not, where is, are we doing, is there tabs here? Is there a tab here? Oh, how did that happen? Doggone ya. There we go. Because it's supposed to remove these after several days, and it's still not doing it yet. I've had this open for a while. All right, well, it doesn't really matter, I guess. Um, that doesn't quite work. It's still working like what I've decided already. She gets the missing information from the file or paper John found. This is not in two parts, though. That's why I was thinking about something torn or missing. Something she would have to say, pick up from the ground or something. I don't know. Maybe this would never work in a CYOA. Think if we were doing a full text adventure and or point and click graphic adventure. How would the puzzle look then? There was okay, so there was a deal, and I'm not sure if this was for this game or for was for some other game. In fact, actually, I tried making a game, a little thing in I think Adventure Game Studio, and it was just a little one room deal. And one of it was there was a combination uh, to a safe, I think, and so you need to find the combination, but the combination is just isn't written anywhere. But there are a couple of things. There's a date written, and then there's a one of it was a date, and then I can't remember. It was like in two parts. It was two parts. There's something that was written somewhere, and then there was another thing that was a date, and then you had to make a logical connection between the date and the other piece of information that would could be a possible combination. I don't even remember exactly what I did for it because I don't even know where it's at. It's probably somewhere on my hard drive or on a thumb drive or something. But basically, you have a thing where, like I said, you have the two clues and you have to put them together somehow. Uh, uh, yeah, you don't have to give me the choose your own adventure version. That's not what I asked you. Sometimes it doesn't ask. It doesn't do. It's somewhat faded carving on the door frame. And it's very faint carving on the wooden frame, a small heart with the letters MS inside. That's not a bad idea. There, I should have been able to think of that, but right. So, uh, Violet. I don't know if Violet and Red were. No, part of the rivalry is they were rivals in school too, so that would be the case there. But at least Violet was kind of a rebel, kind of a she liked to, she wasn't a good girl. She was kind of a bad girl, right? So she might carve stuff in something like the door to Princess Prep or whatever. That's actually not a good bad idea. Okay. Uh, you didn't need to provide the CYOA version. I can do that myself, but I think I like the idea of her having his initials. Maybe it would be the whole VM plus MS, you know, and in a heart. But she carves it all herself. Because she was kind of a bad girl back in the day. Um, this actually aligns perfectly with what I wanted. I might want to uh, tweak the message. Ask me about my rich, charming, or whatever. It should be something a little more obscure, but still can be easily solvable if the player remembers what John found. Okay, so I'm essentially creating another puzzle, right? And this is actually what I was talking about. I should have even thought of that myself. That's the thing that gets me. That should have been a hard thing to think about. And the idea too. There's another thing to do with it. Another thing is that uh, Max was a professor. Now he's a wizard. He's an evil wizard. But back in the day, well, they talk about Hubert and Max went to the same college or whatever in the same school. But that wouldn't necessarily be Princess Prep or Wizard U or anything like that. Well, no, they went to Wizard U. But we since I don't have anything about ages in here really, we can kind of stagger the ages a little bit. So Violet and Red are actually later, and um, Hubert and uh, Hubert and Max would have went to Wizard U, you know, like several years before, right? It doesn't even have to be that long. It can be We'll think of like a 4 year, like you went to college for 4 years, and maybe Princess Prep was more of a high school, right? So back then, and I'm not thinking of anything weird like this big age gap thing. What it is that Violet has a crush on Max. Max is a professor, and he's a young professor, but he's still a professor, right? He's still way older than her, and so the idea is he dreams of she dreams of being with him somehow, and then later on she actually gets to live that out because right now she's his right hand basically, and it's almost kind of the same thing with Red, and there's this slight love triangle thing which I don't really want to get into because this is uh, all ages appropriate, and I'm not trying to get into weird like relationship crap in the where somebody likes this one and the other one likes this one and then blah 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 that sort of thing. But that's sort of the way it worked, and really, Max likes Red more. In fact, I could even make the ages go a little bit different too. In other words, Red could have actually been, we'll say, a senior, I guess. I mean, if I'm thinking of it like American high school terms, and um, maybe Violet's like like a not a freshman, but a sophomore, right? Second year, 4 years. So they're like a couple of years. Red's a couple of years older than Violet. Eventually, Max ends up with Violet, but really he still likes Red, and he knows and then there's the whole thing of where she gets rid of Red, and then that's a whole nother thing. But if I want to put a little backstory here, um, Violet has a crush on her professor. Like I said, he's a young guy. He's uh he's maybe in his early 20s, but he's a professor of magic or whatever, and yeah, I mean, I don't have any hard and fast rules about how the actual school system worked. The way I put it is that before it became a tourist resort, these were actual schools. It was actually uh, Enchanted College, but it had these four different quote unquote campuses. So basically, Wizard U, Princess Prep, um, Night School, and Fairy God College were actually part of the same school. They're just different disciplines or different sections or whatever. I don't know how that would work out because I don't know that much about like school system, high school or college or whatever. I haven't been in high school since 1994, which is over 30 years ago. So I don't know, and I didn't go that deep into that. So uh there's the thing. The thing is she had a crush on him, so she would do things like write things in her notebook, or on a paper, which is what John found. John found some papers. It's basically her file, and um, I have to go back. I have to find. Let's see, recent. Let's see something here. It says prep. She's supposed to speak at Princess Prep. How do you know Maximilian's spell? Oh, the Black Knight was college buddies with the Maximilian spell. Okay. Princess Prep. Princess Prep. Hmm. Gain entrance. Schedule to make a speech. Information John can gather. Shoot, now I have only 30 minutes left. Dang it. Hubert sends John over to night school. Here's a... Let me see something here real quick. Princess managed to escape it. Anyways, once upon a time, there was a real-life magic kingdom. The kingdom wasn't doing so well financially. Taxes were all at an all-time high. Most of the taverns and inns were run down. People had very little to eat, and the economy tanked. One day, a wizard named Hubert, who happened to be the king's advisor and a very close friend, decided they needed some way to generate an income and that way was tourism. The king was skeptical at first, but then as Hubert mentioned the many tourist resorts in different realms and how they were all doing, the king thought about a bit about it and decided it was a good idea. So they set about turning the kingdom into the Enchanted Lands tourist resort, or uh, Enchanted Lands. What do they call it? Enchanted Lands magical resort. Always doing well until an evil sorcerer by the name of Maximilian Spell started kidnapping tourists and eventually was caught enslaving them to mine Quicksilver because he had plans to build a machine that would open portals to any realm so he could conquer them. But before he could execute his plans to build a machine, he was caught and banished. Okay, so that was a pre-story, and um, he had plans to build a machine back then, I guess, according to my notes here. A real-life Magic Kingdom tourist resort has fallen in higher times. The majority of the shops and taverns and inns have closed down. Most of the hotels are closed except for two. Dragons have taken to terrorizing small villages, and terrorists seem to be disappearing. Hubert, the king's closest friend, confidant, and advisor, decides to bring in a person from our realm to help him figure out what's going on. The rumors of previously banished madman has returned. He brings in a person from our realm. They call it Cerulean, whose name is John. John steps through the portal by possessing a ticket and with embedded with Quicksilver, magical mineral that runs Enchanted Lands. On the other side of the portal, use okay. That's just a little intro here. That's not really what I'm interested in right this second here. Let's go. Let me go down here. While inside Princess Prep, John figures out. Okay, determine what's going on. Princess Prep is already closed. Maybe I should look up something called filing cabinet. Okay. Much about Princess Prep. Okay. At the office, John will investigate a filing cabinet, which may have info about the vampire princess as well as Violet and Red's file about their rivalry in the past. The desk will have info. Okay. Let's see. Princess Prep rolled out before it was a real school before the resort. She actually went to school with Violet and Red. Oh, so Princess Karen actually went to. No, the head. Wait. Desk. Also. Okay. So apparently, Princess Karen actually went to Princess Prep with Violet and Red. Old enrollment records, which also have file Violet and Red as they've been there before it was a tourist resort. Vacation Princesses, which the Vampire Princess is one. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even put that in anywhere. So I will. Don't worry. I don't know if I'll be able to eat it though. I can't eat anything with sweet smoke lately though because my teeth are so bad. Bay window is now a wide picture window that you can look out on the corridor. Okay. All right. Filing cabinet. Okay, that's really all I have on there. So I don't even have that much in there. Filing cabinet. Okay, so let me think. What chapter would that be in? Here, let's favorites. Let's go to rooms because that's where those MD markdown files are. All the way down to the markdown files. I don't remember which chapter is which. I guess it would be chapter 3. Let's open both of these up. Back to school. John becomes a knight. Couple of souvenirs. Enrollment. Chapter 3. Okay. A few answers. Our princess is missing. Okay. Desk drawer is open. Filing cabinet. Nothing is okay. Nothing inside Princess Karen's file folder. That's what it is. The rest of the cabinet sees 2 files were pulled up, but apparently not go through. Violet Moon Shadows on one and Scarlet Red Clover is on the other. John decides to take them. So he's got their files. So it'd be whatever is in them. There's probably papers. There's probably like a report card kind of thing. There's a bunch of stuff, I guess. Okay, so that's good there. Okay, got it. That's a nice detail. The Violet carving VM in a heart itself back in her school days fits her character perfectly. A few more obscure but still solvable versions of the note hit. They rely on the player remembering John's file. Password calls. He calls me his favorite moon. Okay. My dark spell. Okay. So so there's a couple of things. One, they have Violet's file from the school. Okay, so they know based on various like doodles and things, they noticed that the four where I call them campuses or whatever, they could just be 4 buildings. In other words, they might go to the different classes. Maybe the women wouldn't go to night school, and I'm saying that because particularly in medieval times, women wouldn't be knights. They would never want to be knights either. But we're just gonna say that for the most part, except for I do have a little in joke, really for when I actually have a full graphic adventure. There's going to be like the different cliques, right? You know, you have your jocks and you have your nerds, and you're going to have the babes, which will be women. They'll be women knights, but it's mostly just like a visual joke, right? Their armor will be really colorful, and they're still girls, so they talk about makeup and boys and that sort of thing. So it'll be just like a basic like a visual gag basically. But for the most part, actual knighthood and stuff, women wouldn't be doing that. But they would go to both Princess Prep and maybe Fairy God College because maybe they need to learn both or something. Or maybe they'd also go to Wizard U because it's a thing about magic. Although Fairy God College would be about magic also, so I'm not really sure how that would work out. She knows about well, shoot, I don't suppose that a male professor couldn't be in a female school, right? Or a female whatever classroom. So maybe they have male and female professors, their teachers, at uh, at Fairy God College, and maybe it's a cross discipline thing because magic is for both male and female kind of thing. But only a princess can only only a female can be princess, and only a male can be knight, and that's kind of how I work it. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you can't have you probably wouldn't have a male professor or teacher in Princess Prep. I mean, you just wouldn't because unless you want to be woke and stuff, and I'm not for all of that gender weirdness. But stuff like uh yeah. But there'd be male teachers in, for instance, in there can be male teachers in Fairy God College, and there could be female teachers in Wizard U, right? It's like a cross discipline thing. Okay. Anyways, this is my rules. This is the way I'm defining it, how I'm working it, because and so Violet has a crush on her young professor. He's young, even though he's old enough to be professor, and but he's still too old for her at this time period. But she has a crush on him, and so that's kind of a big deal. And it's been a way through their whole days, their whole relationship, kind of thing. So, um, so the password is going to be based on that, anyways. Favorite moon, that doesn't sound good. My dark spell, that doesn't sound good. That sounds dumb too. Ask about my enchanted prince, the one who bound my heart. BM's one true spell. Person recommendations. I'll probably figure this one out. What did I say above? Oh, yeah. Oh, when I said ask me about my uh, I don't care for those. I'll think of something else. Um, still thinking of a hint. And the idea for the hint is that it's really personal to Violet that the password is, and she doesn't think anyone will ever figure it out. Okay, so I kind of explained this yesterday, but so what happens is she doesn't figure anybody will take up her offer. It's just there just in case. In other words, just in case there's a tourist that happens to still be there that happened to go to Princess Prep and then they didn't see it, and so to stop any more vacation princesses from going in there and kind of screwing things up, she creates this password based on her own personal self. And when Karen goes in fact, if she went to school with her, Karen probably even knows that she had a crush on Max at the time. So there can be a thing where she kind of puts that together. And so when she answers it, Violet looks at her and she's disguised as a tourist, but at first she doesn't recognize her because the disguise is pretty good, and because she isn't expecting the princess or anybody that she knows to actually come in there, right? She's expecting people that don't know anything, that are just tourists or just happen to be, some citizens or something that happen to be already be there, and so um, when Karen has the right password, then she knows something is up. So then she takes another look at her and realizes it's her. She recognizes her, and I think that is kind of the way it would work in real life. In other words, You could probably fool somebody that knows you. Um, Maybe not super well, or maybe you haven't seen for a while, but that knows you well enough that you could go in disguise and they wouldn't be able to tell it was you. But if you said something that triggered their memory, they'd be like, "Oh yeah!" Instantly they recognize you, right? Because they still know what you look like, but their brain doesn't have a context for that yet until they say this one thing that clues you in that it's this person that you know. So I think that's the right way to go about it. Um, I have to think of something. The problem. I think it feels better for the note when you have no idea for a hint or your rough direction. In the meantime, if you want to shift focus to something else, nah, I got it. I guess I won't get to that today. So maybe I'll just get to 15 today. Um, I can still finish it this week if I do one chapter a day. So uh, today, if I get 15 done, and tomorrow I do 16, right? So that would be Wednesday. Wednesday would be 16. Thursday would be 17, and Friday would be 18. And that would actually be like just perfect if I could do that. But we'll see. And with me getting distracted real easy, going off on tangents and whatever, uh, I may not be able to get it done at the end of this week. But we're gonna try it anyways. Um, okay. Hmm. Here's hmm. Let me ask this. Uh, is it logical that she would create a password for this new program uh, that she knows nobody should be able to get? I mean, why put the note in the first place? My original idea was that um, if they figured out the password when it wasn't necessarily personal to her, uh, that um, Violet figured they would be good enough to um, suck into to use for Max's men. In other words, the whole idea is to get his men some wives, and so if a girl was smart enough to figure out the password, then she could be sucked into a book as well. Well, to serve to serve the same bait. That's not right. Serve's not right. Suffer the same fate as the rest of the vacation princesses. Vactation. What? Vactation. Vactation. Vacation. I just created a new word called vactation. I don't know what it means. Maybe you're maybe you're giving out vacations, so it's called vactation. That doesn't sound right either. Some are the same fate as the rest of the vacation princesses. However, I've changed it so that the princess does actually get caught. That's the exact logic hole. I guess it's a hole. If the password is now deeply personal to Violet, then putting a public note no longer makes sense. The original intent was a filter. If you were being trapped for maximum, an obscure private password breaks that filter, turns the note into something that almost nobody should be able to use, which makes the whole special program feel pointless. Except if she figured it would ways to fix it. Okay, deliberately misleading but solvable. Ask about my Prince Charming. My public knowledge. The password itself is something that only the Vacation Princess Cat would know from early resort gossip or original Princess prep materials. Violet's personal scribble is still the key, but it's not secondary confirmation rather than the only way in. Keep it personal only in the violence. Uh, well, yeah. I mean, my explanation is that she figures no one would solve this. That's why the password is up. However, you could just as well leave the note off, as it wouldn't serve any logical purpose. So, you're right. It's illogical. Think about this for a second. Because, okay, so I could just say, okay, it's common knowledge. Since Violet works for Max, it's common knowledge that she has a thing for him, whatever. But you still have to communicate that to the player. They have to know that they're a thing, that there's a thing there. The thing for Max. However, I would need to somehow communicate that to the player some time earlier. So then it's almost like common knowledge. Ooh. The actual wording of the password can even be a secret thing. Maybe it's spell with something. And my time is up. I got 5 minutes, and I have to hit my break. You're seeing the logic clearly now. The core problem is the password is so personal, violent, it takes someone to resolve this. Why put it in public known? There is no ways to resolve it without adding much new content. Remove the password from the note entirely. A new note to express this purpose temporary authentication interesting program may inquire directly. When Karen arrives, the template asks for the password. It has to figure it out using. No, it just directs people to the program. The password is the real gate. Huh. That doesn't quite work, though. The first one. Because the password could be anything. And I haven't set the password to anything yet, exactly. I mean, I have. Connected to John's file. Hmm. But it would still need um let's see. To be able to be figured out by other princesses. The carving on the door and the notes in the file are for our benefit. In other words, it's for the puzzle. But password still needs to be solvable by NPCs or whatever in the game. And my time is up for this session. I'll be back in an hour. And thanks for the help. Quick summary before you go. Testing your feelings real and valid. You want the password to be personal, obscure enough that Violet believes no one could solve this. At the same time, you need to be solvable by verification, or are supposed to be able to get in and get trapped. It's inherently tricky to balance. Carving plus John's fire player only clues for the puzzle, but the password itself also has to feel like some of the other girls could possibly figure out in universe. Uh, okay. I already said thanks to it. I'm just gonna leave it, or him, or her, or whatever you want to say. I don't know. I don't know really what Grok will Grok be considered male or would it be considered female? Probably male. I would probably consider Grok male, I guess, if I had to guess. Anyways, yeah. Thank you for watching part one, and I will see you in an hour.